was kidnapped on American soil. My family killed.
So, Michael, Lioness season 2, I have to say this show has taken me on some wild rides. I'm curious, what is it like working with Taylor Sheridan as a showrunner? And has anything surprised you about working with him now going into the second season?
He's a tough son of a bitch. No, he's great, man. He's brilliant. I was surprised that somehow he was able to, not surprised. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that he was able to actually, in my opinion, I've seen the first 2, read the first 8, and I think he was somehow able to make it better in the second season than the first. And I loved the first season, so hats off, because it's incredible what he did. And working with him, you're just in awe. He's operating on another level, and I think he's as damn close to a genius as you're going to get. I don't think it's ever been done before. Someone's had 7, 8, 10, I don't know how many shows he has on, and they're all hits. Like, that's pretty, I don't think anyone's ever done it. So
It's pretty wild.
Paramount, you're welcome. You got God of television. Like, way to go.
I'm always surprised by how many projects he has on hand and like how many ideas he's churning out. Honestly, It's quite impressive.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, I'm really obsessed with the fact that a lot of your characters are kind of like these morally dubious people who, are maybe not like ever living in anything but the moral gray. What draws you to roles like this? Is it a particular role, or is it more the personality of the character?
I've always been, like, for me, I think what draws me to a project in general, whether it's a writer or showrunner, fellow actors that you want to work with, or what have you, I think, fortunately for me with Lioness, I kind of got everything. Taylor Sheridan I've been wanting to work with, Nicole Kidman I'd worked with before, Morgan Freeman, Zoe, like, are you kidding me? It's sort of just a dream. But to get to play these kind of guys who, like you said, operate in that gray area, it's fun because it's a far more complex individual. There is part of Byron Westfield who is feeling and believing this and doing that, and because he knows he's got to do what's ultimately right for what he does. And I think one of the brilliant things that Taylor does is you get to go home with some of these characters and see the impact that it has on them, what they're doing for a living.
Mm-hmm. And you talked a little bit about working with Morgan Freeman and Nicole Kidman. Obviously, I can't imagine being in a room with them. I feel like that would be kind of like a dream moment. Also, maybe a nightmare because I feel like I would panic. But what is it like acting across them and working with them in these sort of like tense scenes?
This season, I will admit to saying that this season it got a little bit easier. Season 1, the first time that I walked into that room, I was just like, like, just like, oh my God, you're nervous as hell the first time you do a new job anyway. But then you put all those people in the same room, and you're just like, oh my God. And I think it's why everyone in that room comes so prepared, because everyone in the room, I think, knows what it is in that room, and knows what we're getting to say, and knows that these scenes can go on for 9 minutes sometimes. One shot, and you're just in one take. I don't mean that they're shooting the scene in one shot, but a take can be 9 minutes long, and so it's like these little theater pieces, and we all have so much fun doing them, and they're physically, mentally exhausting, because you get up so high mentally to prepare yourself to walk into that room. Even it's a lot. You finish a day and you're like, I am done, man. I am exhausted.
Even the scenarios of those scenes, I feel like what you're talking about, not only like the subject matter, but also like the vocabulary that you're using, it must be very daunting to get into those situations when you're like, okay, we're in a room with like 6 other people. If I mess up, then like we're gonna have to start all over again.
Totally. It weighs on you, man, and you don't want to be the guy that messes up. You're like, it's not gonna be me. I'm not gonna screw this up. So you work your ass off, and you come as prepared as you can, because it's just a freaking blast, man. It's a blast to be in that room.
I can imagine your hands are very sweaty at the end of the day. So, I'm curious, what does your character Westfield feel? How does he feel about the Lioness program in honesty? Because I feel like even though it's a very useful program and it's very efficient, it's also like the cause of like a lot of problems in just like dealing with the geopolitical issues.
But I think that everything that Byron Westfield deals with is a lot, and it is the consequences of what does or doesn't happen and what he's dealing with have geopolitical consequences, right? So I think it's like any other program that he's watching over and seeing through. But yeah, I guess this one does cause him a little more pain than others, or a little more conflict than others. But he knows how valuable that program is. You know, he's the one who's like telling the Secretary of State, like, we're going to do this because we have to do this, you know, and fights for his women, the women in his group there. He's fighting for them.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, you know, obviously in this season we're
I don't
meeting...
mean his women. That sounds weird. You know what I mean?
The women who are working in this program.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
No,
you.
not
I'm
his
very
women.
clear there. Byron Westfield does not have women.
No, these women, I mean, if anything, he's their man, so, you know. I'm curious, are there any effects from leftover from season 1? Because obviously we're dealing with a new character in this season, Josie, but, you know, Cruz is coming back from season 1 as well. Is there any connection in between these two seasons where we see some of the aftermath of what happened in season 1 go into season 2? Or is this more of a contained story?
I think it's more of a contained story. I think that's probably a question more for those guys, as far as Genesis and Zoe and Liza. Although they'll better answer that for you. There's always going to be, from mission to mission, things that carry over into Byron's world. Like you said, he's dealing with the Secretary of State, and quite often his relationship with the Secretary of State, that's affected from what happened last season, of course. And I think it's inevitable. I actually, the way Taylor did it this season, it's really cool what happens with my character and the Secretary of State this season, because of what happened in the first season and how the two come together again this season. It's really... Mm-hmm. He did a great job of that. It really blew my mind, and I was so happy to read it in the script for the first time.
I'm interested in seeing that episode then. And then just a final question. You know, obviously, your character spends most of his time in suits. He's, you know, working in these buildings. But Zoe's character, a lot of these characters are out there being very physical. Do you ever have any desire to get into the field and get in those fatigues?
Always. I get to do it on Jack Ryan.
But you've seen these episodes, right? It's pretty intense.
I mean, but I get to do it on Jack Ryan, and I absolutely love it. I love flying in helicopters and playing, you know, quote unquote cops and robbers, or cowboys and Indians back in the day, like what you played as a kid. You know, now I guess maybe they say cowboys, Native Americans, but you know what I mean, like that fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. So yes, of course I do. I want to always be in the field.
Okay, so season 3, we're gonna see you.
There you
out
go.
there
That's
with
it. You say it, I wish it, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait for everyone to see this season.
Right on.
Thank
Pleasure.
you so much.
Thank you.